Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm building a blue mid-century house, inspired by Short and Sweet by Sabrina Carpenter. I say inspired by because I literally had the album on loop all weekend, Friday to Sunday. I didn't listen to it all day Sunday, but I listened to it the majority of the Sunday, and basically I have the entire album memorized, which is kind of crazy, but the album is only like 30 minutes long, which is kind of the length of this video, so it's really not that hard to memorize the album if you have it on loop for like 48 hours. But if you haven't listened to it yet, I highly, highly recommend. It's such a good album. It's pop perfection. But while I was listening to it, I did get this vision of a mid-century house in my head, which if you've seen the music video for Taste, which is an amazing music video. I love it. It's funny. It's just everything that I would want in a music video. Like, honestly, Sabrina's been popping off with her music videos for this album lately. But in that music video, there's like a big mansion, which I guess isn't technically Sabrina's mansion. It was Jenna Ortega's boyfriend's mansion or whatever. But for some reason, when I was listening to this album and the visuals that I've been seeing, it was giving me like old school vibes. So I guess that's where my mid-century vision came from. And it mostly came to fruition. There were some things that didn't quite turn out how I wanted them to, but it's mostly there. And instead of putting this house on a foundation, as you can see, I made the house medium wall height, and I'm using platforms instead. I use platforms to create this kind of sloping walkway up to the front door. And if you can tell by the neighborhood that I'm building in, this is where the Calientes live. This isn't necessarily where mid-century houses go, because all the houses are Spanish inspired houses. The mid-century ones are more like in one of the other neighborhoods in Oasis Springs. But for some reason, I just really wanted to build here. I like the neighborhood. I like this lot in particular. And like I said, I wanted this to look fancy, but like, I guess not really fancy, but more like luxurious. Like, the person who lives here has money and they're rich. So this kind of like took some time to figure out, and I did cut a lot of the process out. Just so much of it got cut out. Mostly it was the floor plan that got cut out, and then there were some decisions that were made inside that I cut out while I was decorating, because I just wasn't really vibing with how it was looking. But as you can see here, I figured out basically what I want to do up here at the front. I used gravel. I used two different stones to create the walkway up to the steps, and then I used this other stone, I think that's from City Living, to create the pathway. I also used that one in the backyard, and I use it on the platform on the inside to make it continuous, because in most like mid-century houses you like walk in to like tile by the front door. And then for the landscaping up here in the front, I just use these Jungle Adventure succulents, and I mostly just use base game cactuses and those like spiky plants. And then I use this tree. I don't really know why I wanted to use this tree. I think it's because I just don't really use it all that often, but I end up using that. And then I get some spotlights to shine on the house to go with the recessed lighting on the platform. And then I believe we're going to be jumping to the backyard, which I decided to paint the house a blue color, mostly because the album cover is blue, and I didn't think I was going to keep it this blue color, but I grew to like it as I left it sit there for a while. And then here I am just figuring out the doors and the windows for the back here. Originally I was going to go with these white accents on everything, and then I wanted them to match the trim that I put on the half wall and on the roof. So I changed them all to this gray color, and I use a mix of these Island Living windows and the base game windows, because unfortunately Island Living didn't come with any other height window besides the lower wall height window height. So I just use that. Oh, these are actually not base game. I'm a liar. These are eco lifestyle windows. So I use eco lifestyle windows instead of the base game ones. And then I just copy the exact same landscaping that I had up front. I use the same fence. I use the same succulents all throughout. And here's where I use the tile that I used for the walkway. But this is where I cut it, at least because when I made the pool, for some reason the pool water glitched really, really bad. So you'll see me jump forward here when I've already got that all figured out along with the landscaping. For some reason, the water texture was only in one of the curved parts, and then the rest of it was just like the default color. So I had to like exit out of the lot and then reload back into the lot, and it was fixed and it was fine. But basically the backyard, it's pretty simple. On this side, there are pool loungers in this basic like cream color. And then on this side, I use the toddler string lights. And at first I was going to try to do something like funky with them. I was going to make them into like a triangle shape, but the one was just too long and it looked really weird. So I just I scrapped the whole thing. And I still use the toddler lights, but I make them into a square instead. It's more simple this way. And I put a grill and a seating area out here for this. And then for that, I just use the Desert Lux kit. I use that grill. I use those cement cubes. And then I am just now noticing that there's no pole there. I think there is a pole because those are 4 string lights. Unless for some reason I doubled up the poles somewhere along the way. But there is supposed to be a 4th pole there. That's really weird. But anyways, yeah, so here's the Desert Lux stuff. I was gonna change the color to like the brown, but the default, I think this is like the white color, not the default, but the white color, it matched the fence better. And then I just use a base game table and chairs. Again, it's really simple out here. I actually cut out me decorating the backyard because it took me forever to figure out decorations to put out here. I think in the end I don't end up putting anything out here besides the plants I'm about to put out, which I put one from movie Hangout, and then I use the Blooming Rooms kit. And a cool thing that I do with the Blooming Rooms kit plants is I use the hanging ferns, and I just hang them on the back fence, which is something that I never thought to do, but it looks really good. I just hang them on either side of the grill, and then I put down these pots from Get Together because they look like they could like go, like they were connected to the cement block underneath it. But now we are going to be jumping inside to the kitchen. I use the spa day counters, which I don't think I have really used all that much, but they gave that mid-century vibe I wanted. And then I kind of test out a funky thing for the island here in a second. I used the curved ends right here for the actual island piece, and I liked it. And then for some reason I was like, ooh, what if I used the curved piece for the counters? And then it just looked weird, so I had to put it back because I was like, no, one side curved is good, 2 side curves is bad. But I make it this brown color for espresso. I also add an espresso machine later on too. And honestly, I knew the album was going to be good because of how espresso and please 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 sounded, but I didn't expect there to be even better songs on there. Like the songs just got progressively more good. I mean, she opened up with Taste, which was already a really good song, and then she opened up with, and then she had Please Please Please. But then after that, it was just like hit after hit after hit after hit. Like the song Juno. I love that song. I don't know why, but I knew it was going to be in reference to the movie. I didn't even think about the Greek goddess Juno, which a lot of people were talking about on the internet. And I took a Greek mythology class for like a few semesters before I had to drop it. But like I should have known about the Greek goddess, but for some reason in my head I was like, nah, this is going to be about the movie Juno. And it might have been because I had literally watched the movie like a week ago. But that song is so good. The line about her being like, ooh, but two of me is cuter. Girl has got game. Girl wants that man bad. But we are going to be finishing up the kitchen here in a little bit. I'm just picking the tile for the back of the kitchen. I think about using a lot of tiles at first, but then I think I just painted this Jungle Adventure stucco orange color because I needed an accent color for the house, and I decided to use orange because I also use these red tiles. I believe these are from For Rent. I believe. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure those are For Rent tiles, and I wanted to bring out the orange in them. So that's what I did. And then here I am just slapping down some decorations for the kitchen. I placed my usual kitchen clutter around. I put a fruit bowl. I put a dish rack. I put the cottage living. What is it? It's like a little pot thing. I put that over here. The crock pot thing. And then I put these plants because they matched the wallpaper. And then I put blue because inside blue is the accent color. And then orange is kind of the real color of the inside of the house because orange and blue go together. So like on the outside, blue is the primary color, and then inside, orange is the primary color with blue is the accent because blue is the color of short and sweet, according to Sabrina. But yeah, I just add a rug here, and I had some curtains, and then we're going to be jumping forward a lot because it took me a minute to figure out the dining space. I wanted to make it lower to give the inside a more interesting look, but it took me a minute to figure it out because I had originally set the dining room table out, which is why it's already out there, and then I decided that I wanted to lower it, so I just took a little bit, and then here's me adding more to the kitchen so there wasn't this awkward like gap between that and the dining table. And here is the espresso machine, and then I just stick a plant over here, and then we're going to be moving on to the dining room after I put these mugs down and fix the floor. I originally was going to make the entire thing wood up into the stairs, but then I do this thing where I put a little bit of tile and just like edge it off by the stairs. And now we're going to be moving on into the dining space. I wanted to make it lower to give the inside a more interesting look, but it just took me a bit. I used the same foundation color that I used outside. And this does turn out to be my favorite room in the house. It looks really cozy. I use a lot of curved furniture. I use a lot of glass in here. I use the same curtains in the kitchen, which I also end up just using these curtains basically all throughout the entire house. In the living area, they're brown. I think in the bedroom, they're black. And then in the secondary room, I think they're blue. But I try to use a lot of mid-century-esque furniture in here. It took me a second to figure out a chandelier to use over the dining room table. I end up using this one in blue. And then I hang this picture over here on the wall, which I believe is from City Living. And it reminded me a little bit of the album color. And not only that, but it had a lot of the color inspo for the house. So I thought that was really nice. And then I'm just going to be adding some lights and some decorations all throughout the space. I didn't actually really know what to do in this space besides the table, but I used the Jungle Adventure mirror. It takes me a second, but I end up figuring out a side table for over here underneath the painting. I go through a lot of choices. I tried to make the bowling night stuff, mid-century stuff work. I tried to use it in a lot of rooms. It just wasn't the vibe that I was going for. Like, it is mid-century, but it was like too mid-century, if you get like what I'm trying to say. So I just ended up going for this one, which is the base game one that was made by a custom content creator. And then I get some napkins from Dine Out, some plates, and then I just get a plant to put underneath this painting. And then we're going to be moving on into the living room, which was another room that I ended up cutting a lot of what happened before I got to the final shape of the living room, because I also wanted to make that sunken in, but only by like a step. But the platform by the back door took up a lot of space, and then there wasn't a lot of room for couches. And then where I put the TV, it didn't look that great. So I ended up just cutting out all that footage. That took me like 30, 40 minutes to decide that I didn't like it. Um, but this is the final shape for the living room. I spent a lot of time picking out a rug. I ended up going with this one. This is a swatch from that Get Famous animal print rug. That one has a lot of cool swatches if you can get past the animal print ones. So I used this one. I don't know why, but I was really attached to this one. I was determined to make it work in either this space or the living room, and I got to work in this one. And this is where the vision for this entire house basically spurred in my head. I, for some reason, just had this vision of this massive living room with a fireplace and a TV and then couches kind of like in this area right here. But a lot of the items that I wanted to use come in different games. Like for instance, there's this curved single tile fireplace, and I think it comes in Sims 2, I believe. It's got like the mid-century vibe, and that's kind of the fireplace I was picturing being in this living room. But the fireplace that I have in here is kind of a close second to the kind of fireplace I could see in this living area. But over the TV, I'm going to be putting the neon light from Love Struck that's in the shape of lips, because that's kind of the branding for this album. All throughout a lot of the stuff, like the CDs and even on her back shoulder on the original album cover, she has a lipstick mark. So I decided that was a nice homage to the branding that she has for this album. And I mean, overall, I just wanted this place to be a good house for a couple, specifically a couple who like to be a little spicy in their relationship. So I put a few candles around the place. I used the Woohoo blanket here in the living room. If you listened to Short and Sweet, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say this girl just wants a man to do it with. Bedchem, that one lyric, and you know the one, girl is thirsty. Which I think that the way that she did the song order on this album, specifically with Bedchem, which is about wanting to take Barry Kehoe to bed and then like immediately putting espresso after, which is insinuating that he's now addicted to her. I just think it's really genius in the way that she set this album up. The shock value from going from Bedchem to espresso was just so good for me. I got a laugh out of that. I thought it was really cool. And honestly, listening to this album was kind of a shock, just because I watched Sabrina on Girl Meets World when she was like still like a teenager. I listened to her debut album, Eyes Wide Open, which is still one of my favorite albums to this day. I just love the songs on there. They're very nostalgic for me. And yeah, I was like 20, like 19, 20 years old when that album came out. So it probably wasn't necessarily directed towards me. It was probably more directed towards like pre-teen teenagers, but the album really spoke to me, and I've been a fan of her music ever since. I did kind of stop listening to her during her Singular era because those songs didn't really speak to me. I only listened to the singles, but I got back into her music during Emails I Can't Send and now Short and Sweet, because those albums are kind of more my vibe. And I think that she thinks that way too, because she said in a lot of albums that she doesn't really resonate or relate to her past albums anymore because they weren't really her sound. And from what I've been learning, apparently her old record label screwed her over, like, a lot. So I'm proud of her for getting out of that and being able to make music that she really wants to make. But here we are in the bedroom. I used the vibrating heart bed in here. I was originally going to use this bed from Love Struck, which I've been overusing. I just think it looks really comfy But I decided to use the heart bed instead because it's got the vibrator function and it's wild and it fits what I wanted this house to be. And I use I believe it's the side tables from Growing Together. These gold pedestals, I make them black and I put some candles on top of them later on. But then I also put the devil heart neon light over the bed. Again, overusing the Love Struck decals. I'm just really obsessed with them at the moment. But I just wanted this house to be full of woohoo and spicy and romantic opportunities. Like, this house is just a recipe for the perfect spicy couple. Um, but the album itself isn't all about the spice. There's the song Slim Pickens, which is about how all men suck and God didn't make her gay, so she just has to deal with it, which, in all honesty, she isn't wrong. Most of the men out there suck, and God decided to not make some of us gay, so now we're just stuck going out with all the guys. And she did say that almost all the good guys are single or taken, or not single or taken, they're taken or dead. So she just has to keep on going with what's left, hence Slim Pickens. And the lyric about since God forgot my gay awakening, that has raised so much controversy over the internet because people are taking it in the wrong way. And if you listen to the song, she isn't like making light of being gay. She's just saying that God forgot to make me gay, so I guess I have to go out with all these men, especially the men that don't know the difference between they're there and they are, which preach, girl, they do not. But what is an album release without a certain lyric off the album not being taken in the way that it's supposed to, a la Taylor Swift in the one song where she sings about wanting to live in the 1830s, but without all the racists, and people just took that in the wrong way as well. But anyways, I digress. Here in the bedroom, I use this dresser from Get Famous in this dark swatch. And then I just put some candles, flowers, a tissue box next to the costume trunk. And then that other corner, I used the Love Heart chair, which I believe is an unlockable from the Love Guru career. I haven't gotten that far in that career as of late because I kind of swap between saves because I get bored pretty easily in this game. So I'm constantly making new families and new saves. I'll come back to older saves when I want to start playing with them again. But I haven't played with my Love Guru sim in a while. And then here on the table, I'm just adding some candles. I'm adding some books. I add an open notebook. And then on the blank wall, I end up using that really tall mirror that's for the medium height walls that I think is supposed to be used on the gym lot, but I use it in here instead, and I put a curtain over it so like you could pull it closed. And then I end up just adding a plant, and that's pretty much it for this bedroom. I just made it really simple because the platform kind of took up a lot of space. If I didn't have the platform there, I probably would have been able to put more stuff in the bedroom. But in all honesty, I don't know why your bedroom, like you need to have a lot of furniture in your bedroom, specifically in The Sims in particular, because your Sims aren't going to casually sit in a chair and like read or anything unless you specifically instruct them to go sit in there. They'll sit in like the closest place possible. And then here in the final room, I literally just make it an office. I use the Dream Home Decorator furniture to make a built-in desk with bookshelves and little cubby holes. I end up using the other decal that I keep reusing, which is the Polaroids. I will stop using them, I promise. In my next few builds, those Polaroids will not be present. It's just, I think they're such a good storytelling object to use. It adds a lot of opportunity to make up different stories in different places, but I have been using it quite a lot, so I will not be using it in builds going forward as much, I promise. But here I am changing the swatch of the Dream Home Decorator items. I was gonna make them white, but it looked too stark and too brand new, like too IKEA. So I made them brown in color. And here is the Polaroid thing. I was gonna use the envelope with the heart to put some emails I can't send representation in the build, because that album is so good as well. She just like outdid herself doing short and sweet. Um, I use this love red like heart chair from high school years. I use this rug. I don't remember what pack that is from, but it matched with the vibes. And then I just used the same curtains. I ended up putting an art easel in here because I wanted there to be another like skill building activity, and easels are like the easiest object to put in a space. I thought about putting a chess table for a little bit, but I opted against it because I didn't want to put a chess table because I just don't. Realistically, not a lot of houses have chess tables. I realize that it's a good item to have in The Sims, but like if you want to use a chess table, I think it's a perfect opportunity to go to parks or go to libraries, like lots that you don't normally want to go to. I think it's perfect to go to those lots because then you can meet other Sims and stuff. Um, but I also had trouble finding a piece of art to put on this wall. I struggled for a little bit going through them, and then I was like, ooh, let me put a chair in the corner instead. I'll get back to the painting. And this is when I pull out the art easel. I do end up putting a painting on this wall, but then once I finish recording, I take a look at the side wall, and it just looked really blank. There's like basically no windows on this side of the house, except for one in the bathroom. So I do put a window where I put a painting in here, and then in the bedroom where I put the string lights on the walls, I delete the long one of the long strands and I put a window there instead and swap around the lights so it looks a little bit better. But like I said, this is pretty much the end of the build. I'm just going to do some final decorating, figure out a painting that I'm going to put up, and then immediately delete it after I finish recording because I changed my mind. But this build is up and available on the gallery if you would like to download it, because I did get ahead of the game and I put this up on the gallery the second I finished it on Friday, so I wouldn't be late uploading it. It is under my EA ID, which is just Lissa Marie 23. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!